Here it is, as promised. I am finally doing another video on drip for Destiny 2 characters, and I'm actually going to cover Hunters, Titans, and Warlocks in this video, so there's a bit of variety for everybody. As much as I'd love to dig into what's actually ripping Destiny 2 apart at the moment, that's going to have to wait until Friday, I think. But just know there is a lot of glitches going on in the game if you haven't played it, so it's a bit of a nightmare for the devs, I imagine. But let's talk about Season Drip. These are just some of the sets that I'm currently using within Season of the Deep. And the first one is literally the one you see before you. It is a very, very shiny golden hunter that I kind of used during Guardian games and just kept because I do like the golden shine on it. I was thinking of making it more along the lines of a golden Iron Man kind of thing, but to be honest, it doesn't work with Orpheus rigs that well, so this will have to do, I suppose. It kind of works with what the feel I'm going with. The Egyptian theme also seems to suit like the cape, so that's really nice. But let's talk about the actual transmogs. So here is a breakdown of what it is. The shader I'm using is called Transcendental Ambition. Yes, again, it is me using one shader for the entire set because, to be honest, it blends really well and it's really gold, so I don't see the reason to change it and mix it with anything else. But the ornaments, this is the Pyrrhic Ascent mask, which can be gotten from Trials of Osiris. You just literally need to get some trial engrams and you can redeem the armor piece for yourself, as well as the entire set if you want to go for it. The arms and chest are the Warmind set, which I think is from Season of the Warmind, if that was the name of it, but I can't quite remember the name of the season, but it was a few seasons ago where we had to deal with Rasputin. That is what these armor pieces are from. Exotic, like I said, is Orpheus rigs because I am using a Void build for this, but I'm also using Calliope's Lullaby as well, which you can get from the store for silver, or if you're lucky enough, you can get it for Bright Dust when it's on. For the cape, it's the Cobra's Hood, and this is the 2022 Guardian Games cape, I think. I want to say 2022. Could be 2021, but it's one of the two. If memory serves me right, you might be able to redeem this from Ava Levante when she's around, but I could be wrong with that. It might just be unique for that year, so if it is, I apologize, but if not, then grab it and you can get it too. Next up, we have a combination of two different seasons because I actually wanted to mix it up a little bit. But basically, we have two of the armor pieces from the new dungeon because I haven't got the chest yet, long story. But I basically combined the arms and the legs from the dungeon with the chest piece from Season of the Haunted. Because weirdly enough, Season of the Haunted actually blends really well with the new dungeon stuff, provided you don't actually put any shaders on the new dungeon stuff. So taking, for example, if I show you the arms here, if you literally just whack a shader on, let's say Jacarina, some really funky stuff happens. Like Jacarina is a black and white shader, why on earth is it turning blue? You can see by just flicking through some random ones as well, the colours don't really match up with what's being shown. So whilst there is some really interesting combos that you can do with that, you'll really just have to explore and find out what you want to do with it. But for this set in particular that I do quite like, these cosmetics are actually going to be used for my Strand build, which is why I've got Assassin's Cowl as the helmet, so in case you're wondering about that. But as the general rule of thumb, I have Gilded Memento as well as for a helmet ornament because I just don't like how it looks originally. Jacarina to make the white stand out a bit more along with the black as well. Arms and the legs, like I talked about, there is no shader on them because really funky stuff starts happening when you have shaders on them, and I kind of want them to marry up with the colours. But the chest piece, like I said, is from Season of the Haunted, and I'm using that shader called Rivalry White Sand. I believe this was sold by Ada One a while back, but it pretty much matches the same colour for the shoulders. I'm struggling to find a good shader what matches with the colouring underneath with the arm bits like there, for example, because it seems the dungeon armor has a weird strand-like effect going along them, whereas most other armor pieces don't. Nevertheless, Rivalry White Sand and Black Sand do work quite well, but I'm also using White Sand for my cape, and the Steeplechase Cloak is what that is called, so if you are interested in what that was. I believe this was released quite a while ago, and I'm not sure if you can get it from the Eververse store, or if it's sold from Xur as part of an armor set. I do want to say it was around the time of the Forsaken era, so that is probably what you're looking at when it comes to an armor set like this. But either way, it matches quite nicely. There's probably another kit that can fit it better, so by all means go looking for it. Moving on to the Warlock, I'm again mixing up the dungeon armor with Season of the Haunted armor because it just really works with the Warlock set, and this is actually a really nice combination I've made. So again, I'm pretty much doing something very similar that I did with the Hunter. I'm trying not to keep anything that is from the dungeon with shaders because funky stuff starts happening. However, I did discover that putting Bitter Pearl on the gauntlets actually does turn them white. It does give them like a little bit of a blue effect if I quickly look at that. So you can see like it's like blue strands coming off it. But this actually works to my advantage because this is actually for my Arc build, which is why I have the Chaos Reach Exotics in case you were wondering. So having that little blue flare on the end of the gauntlets actually kind of works in my favour. But anyway, the actual breakdown of this is literally the helmet, the arms, and also the bond as well. They are all from the dungeon that you can get. No shaders except for Bitter Pearl on the arms, like I just described. And my apologies, I thought that chest piece was actually from the Season of the Haunted. I was wrong, that's actually from Grasp of Avarice. So if you have Grasp of Avarice unlocked, then this chest piece is one of the armor pieces you can get if you're running a Warlock. But paired with it as well, I have Amaretta's Dream, because it's just a really nice white and black shader that kind of blends in with the rest of the set, so it works very nicely for me. And again, Chaos Reach boots, no ornament, because honestly I don't think I have any ornaments, or any of the ornaments I can see don't really work for this, so just having it plain seems to work quite nicely. And again, Amaretta's Dream just to blend it in with the rest of the armor set. But wait, there's more. This is the Strand Queen, or that's pretty much what I'm calling it. I have no better name for this, so that's just what I'm running with, but you can imagine it is basically my Strand cosmetics, because I wanted something Hive-like, but at the same time I wanted to keep it green to keep it in line with Strand. So the majority shader is Atmospheric Glow, and Cryptic Insignia actually is on the helmet, which is from the dungeon. It gives you a really weird green effect. I don't know why, it just does, so it kind of blends in with the rest of it. Not to mention the helmet itself is obviously taken from Oryx because it's the Taken King, so it kind of works with the Hive vibe I'm kind of going for. For the rest of the set, we have the Thunderhead gloves, which I believe was from the previous Season of the Defiant, so that is where those are from. The chest piece is the Tangled Web Robes, which I believe is quite an old armor piece that you can get from a world drop, so by all means grind out those legendaries because you will need them. Unless Xur sells it, then just grab it from Xur. For the legs, I actually have the new exotic Swarmers because that is pretty much what they look like. There is no ornament for them, so I had to come out of it just to show you this. But if you mix it with Atmospheric Glow, it kind of works as a really nice green color, and the hieroglyphs stand out really nicely. Not to mention, if I'm running Swarmers with a Warlock, then I get a lot of Strand buddies, so I'm not going to complain. And for the bond, I've got Meridian and Constellation, which I believe is from Season of the Lost, if memory serves me right. I think it was the only season that has ever been 6 months long, unless you count in like the DLC drag outs when seasons didn't exist. But either way, that's it for the Warlocks. Those are the two sets I'm going with. It's time for Gigachung. So this is basically the Titan. It is, yeah, just me spamming New Monarchy Succession because I really like the shader. It's such a vibrant red color, so I'm just liking it. Anyway, this basically is my Solar Titan, and that is pretty much why he's bright red, and also running Strongholds, because if you don't know, if you use a sword when you got a Stronghold, you will get Restoration ×2 with every melee attack, making you pretty much invincible. But besides that, we are actually going to go over the other stuff that I've got mixed into it to actually kind of make the set blend in a strange kind of way. And I'm just going to say now, 99% of my Titan's armor is just from world drops, because I haven't paid attention to where I've got any of the ornaments from, and I don't really main Titan that often. So literally things like the Purpurian Helmet, the Devastation Complex, and the Sovereign Greaves. This lot I literally probably just got from world drop. You're gonna have to take that at face value, but I do believe the Sovereign Greaves were recently sold at Xur, so there are other ways to get them as well. The Starfarer's Mark was from Season of the Plunder. I do remember getting that set at least, so that is something. The mark I do actually quite like that blends with this armor. I'm never really a fan of marks that look like loincloths. I kind of like the marks that just strip off the side, and then that's pretty much it. But yeah, basically big shiny red Titan that is punching everything, and I'm just a really big fan of like the fur around the head as well. Behold death, like quite literally. That is pretty much the idea I had when I made this. Because my Titan was literally made as an Exo, I felt that I need to make him huge as hell. And quite rightly, this is an Arc Titan, which means thunder crashes on the table, hence the exotic being Caress of the Falling Star. But needless to say, he looks like an absolute unit, and I just love the Season of the Haunted mask, so that is where the helmet is from in case you're wondering. Went over it all properly so I don't get mixed up. The shader for the whole lot is just Erebus Glance. I believe this was sold at 801 a while back, and I picked it up on random, or it was either sold in the Eververse store, one or the other. Either way, I'm pretty sure it will show up in the Eververse store at some point. There isn't anything wrong with like switching it around with something like Amaretta's Dream if you wanted to go for a really bright white. I thought that was going to go dark. You could try a Rivalry Black Sand, for example, which gives you a really weird tinted effect. White Sand is pretty much the inverse, which is another weird set. And then obviously there's Jacarina, which is really sharp black and white in case you like that. As a matter of fact, I'm tempted to keep it like that because I quite like it. But then again, full black just kind of works. The arms of the Tusk Allegiance set, and I think this is from Season of the Chosen way back, because that's the only kind of set I remember being actually like that. Needless to say, it is the tankiest arms I had, so I thought I'm picking these because it makes him look like an absolute unit. For the leg armor, I wanted to keep it with the Exo kind of thing, so the Techian's Regalia gives me that impression. This is basically from Season of the Defiance last season, so that's where they're from. There's also the Techian's Regalia mark, and I'm not going to lie, I picked this because it reminds me of Cloud Strife from Final Fantasy, and which just makes me instantly love it, so That is why I'm using it. But that's going to be it for the video. If you like the drip that I showcased today, then leave a like and a comment down below telling me what you thought about it. And also, if you have any interesting drip sets of your own, then let me know. I would love to hear about them. And as a heads up, on Friday, I'm going to be digging into why Destiny 2 is basically falling apart at the seams. So if you're interested in that, remember to hit the subscribe button as well, and you can catch that on Friday. But for now, I shall see you all in the next video.